Hi everyone, I think we are live.
Think we're live. That's good. Yeah. So good morning. Welcome to the session, GitHub Hidden Productivity Champions in GitHub. Thanks for choosing that session. Yeah, we will do that together. Gerwald Oberleitner and Jürgen Etzlstorfer will guide you through the next approximately 45 minutes and the content we prepared. Yeah, to give you some context about who we are, my name is Gerwald Oberleitner. I work in Microsoft in the area of an Azure technical sales team, helping our largest customers in the country to explore DevOps and the benefits from cloud services. As you can see, there are a bunch of certifications I have in my background. And also some past speaking possibilities in the different conferences. Happy if you are connecting via LinkedIn also with me, and I think the same goes for Jürgen.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's really great to join you here at this developer day. My background is basically all in the cloud, on Azure, on Kubernetes, but also I'm involved in the community. I'm a co-organizer of the Cloud Native Links meetup. So if you ever want to join us there, you're also most welcome. I don't have the same amount of certifications as Gerwald has, but I also just recently done some Azure certifications, and I'm a certified Kubernetes application developer, and also had the chance to share a little bit about the projects that I'm involved in, or some other things that I've been working on different events. And yeah, really glad to join you here today, Gerwald, to also share a little bit more about GitHub, because that's the tool that we're all using apparently for developing or for sharing and collaborating with our code.
Yeah, no, pleasure as well. Unfortunately, still not in person. Yeah, but I think there is light at the end of the tunnel, and hope we can also do in-person events pretty soon again. Yeah, with that, I think let's jump into the topics. Give you some context about GitHub. I think you're super familiar all with GitHub as a platform. Just to give you a few numbers, still a super fast-growing environment. We are now hosting over 70 million developers on the GitHub platform. With a large number of growing organizations hosting the top open source projects. Also, when you look into Microsoft, Visual Studio Code or .NET Core are still one of the projects with the most contributions also on the platform. And host over 200 million repositories in GitHub. So it's really the home for developers and the home for open source. So GitHub is focusing on providing a developer experience that enables everybody to do their best work, in working together, sharing code, contributing to the community. And we thought about showing you today a few of some probably hidden features, not everybody is aware of, to show you the one or other productivity trick in the platform. And we want to start off with the first one, and the first one we are going to talk about is github.dev. So what is github.dev? So github.dev is a web-based editor, which we will also show off in a couple of minutes. It's an editor experience which completely runs in the browser and gives you some richer editor experience directly in the web interface. And it's quite easy to reach that editor because you're within your repository. Just press dot, so the dot key on your keyboard, at any position where code editing is possible, and you get to that experience. You can also get to that experience by just changing in the URL github.com to github.dev, and then that editor will be loaded in the browser, runs fully in the browser. Of course, with that also has some limitations in terms of extensibility and customization. If that editor experience I described just now with github.dev and the limits in terms of extensions, customizations, is something you try to extend, then the next possibility we have is GitHub Codespaces. And GitHub Codespaces, we will spend a couple of minutes on that topic, is really a super cool functionality. So GitHub Codespaces is available for different plans in GitHub. Yeah? So probably, as you are aware, GitHub has a huge user base which is using GitHub for free, either from the open source space or for private projects or for teaching and learning. But there are also, let's say, commercial versions of GitHub. And one of these commercial plans is called Team, and another one is called Enterprise. And Enterprise is also exactly what the name says. It's more targeted towards organizations and companies to also explore all that functionality of GitHub in terms of sharing, collaboration, but within the security boundary of an organization and of an enterprise. And we do also have Codespaces available for the free account. It's currently there in beta. I think there is still to be figured out how that's commercially be implemented. But you also have access in the free plan to that. So what is GitHub Codespaces? So GitHub Codespaces is a virtual developer environment, fast, secure, fully customizable, where you can choose a certain set of a hardware configuration, so how your developer PC should look like. So currently, we offer up to 32 cores and up to 64 gigabyte of RAM. But there are new options in the pipeline. For example, by also having a developer PC with a GPU included, or having even more hardware possibilities. So stretching that limits a little bit. When you use that hardware, hardware is built on a per minute basis. If you combine that your GitHub account also with an Azure subscription, then that's simply built through your Azure subscription. So super easy in the setup. The standard image for GitHub Codespaces, we had the engineering goal to start that super fast. So that the standard image is engineered to start in less than 10 seconds. Then the interface comes up either in a browser, or you're using Visual Studio Code Remote on your PC to connect to that environment. And that environment will also enable remote debugging in the browser and within Visual Studio Code. So let's look into the customization, because that's one of the main differences to the lightweight editor experience. So there are a couple of ways how to fully customize that environment. And what I like in that terms of customization is that also the definition of your developer environment, so the settings for Visual Studio Code, how your dev machine looks like, what tools are included, that's also defined in code, which is sitting within your repository. So you can have a configuration for a developer machine, which is just right for the project you're working in. So also imagine you're working on a couple of different projects or maintaining an older project, and you would have conflicting dependencies on your developer machine. That's no problem with Codespaces anymore, because each Codespace provides you an isolated developer environment, and that isolated developer environment is fully defined by the settings files which are sitting within the repository. And we will look into two or three main ways of customization. So there is a dev container JSON file which defines the Docker container. So the code space is technically a Docker container, executing a Docker file, building your environment, and also adding tools to your environment, as well as extensions in Visual Studio Code. And then you have the VS Code settings JSON, which gives you the possibility to customize the editor itself. And let's look into a few examples here, and give you some introduction into that. So let's see. Did I something wrong with the sharing here?
All good. So we can still see right now. We can see the your browser.
Okay. Then because I thought I was on the second monitor, sharing the wrong monitor. So
no, it's the browser. It's the ADCD repository.
Yeah, that's
just for everyone that is live with us in this session. So I'm also having a look a little bit on the chat. So if you have any questions, or if you want to kind of jump into and maybe also share your learnings or your experience, then I'm also looking a little bit at the chat. So feel free to share your thoughts with us, and also make sure to try a couple of things out also on your GitHub repositories, because I'm again every time amazed when I just hit the dot on the GitHub repository, and then I get the full experience from the dev experience from github.dev. It's really cool.
I think let's do that first, or so simply press dot on the keyboard. And then GitHub is bringing up that lightweight editor experience, fully running in your browser. So no dependencies, where you can do some more extended code editing. And you also see that the URL changed from github.com to github.dev as described before. And I can either jump forward and back by just switching the domain ending, the top level domain ending in the browser, or you can also go forth and back in the graphical interface. That's a little bit hidden as well. So if you go on the menu here and say go back to the repository, then it's switching back to the repository. And compared to the standard built-in web editor, as you see here, I think that Visual Studio Code interface provides really some great value add experience here. But let's look, Jürgen, probably as we promised, into the configuration of the code space. So we have two hidden containers here, one for the Visual Studio Code settings. Yeah. So in the Visual Studio Code settings, I did things like defining the font size, some editor behavior. Yeah. So do you want to automatically have your quotes being closed? Yeah. If you start with the opening quotes, settings, which are the standard settings, yeah, you can do in Visual Studio Code, which is also living here within the repository, and then being recognized by the code space in the setup of your environment. The second folder is the .devcontainer folder, and the .devcontainer folder contains here in my example a quite simply Docker file. Yeah, so it's really from which base the image is built off, and there are I think 50, 60, 70 pre-built images available for you for different scenarios. Yeah. So do you want to have a dev container focused on .NET Core, on JavaScript, on Go development, on Rust development? Yeah. So there are pre-built containers available for you to choose from. Yeah. To tailor your dev space specifically to the project and the tools that you need in a project. Yeah. So as I have here a super simple node example, I'm starting here with the JavaScript node container, but I would be able to have my fully customized, self-made, self-baked image, which I use for my code space. And in the devcontainer.json, that's already a little bit more interesting. We are configuring how the dev space should look like in terms of the capabilities we have in the dev space. So I do install here a couple of Visual Studio extensions which I want to use in my project. There is also a section that's currently in beta, which is called features, where you have a super simple way to install additional tooling into your code space. You also could do that with some post creation commands and create your bash script, to install something into the container. But there are some let's say commonly used tools, which you simply install with a command. Yeah, so you're saying, hey, I need a Azure CLI in my dev space. Yeah, so then just let's enable the Azure CLI feature in that section, and also state which version you want to have to be installed, and then you do not have to figure out where the install labels, which package manager I'm using, how is the bash command to set up that tool.
And I think that's maybe I can just add one comment here, because I'm also a maintainer of an open source project, and there are multiple people working on this. So whenever you need to first set up your environment on a new machine, then it always takes some time. And with these code spaces, you basically define the environment, and you can make sure that this environment is also for everyone that now starts to contribute to your project or joins the team. They will get the same experience with all the development tooling already included, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely right. Yeah, so absolutely right. So let's dive into that a little bit. Yeah, during the time Jürgen has spoken, I started the dev container. Yeah, you have seen that's a pretty quick setup. Yeah, so The image has already been built once. Yeah? So we are using that stored image, booting up that resource. So that's a pretty fast experience. So let's play a little bit around with our configuration here. Yeah? So within our code space, we also do have a terminal, and can interact here with the CLI. Yeah. So we have the Azure CLI installed. Yeah. So I can do here AC. Yeah. And I see the Azure CLI. Yeah. And you see that I still have commented out. It doesn't make a lot of sense in this project, yeah, but just for demonstration purposes, have commented out the .NET CLI. Yeah, so if I now say down here in the terminal, I say .NET, I say, hey, that command is not recognized. Yeah, so that CLI isn't here. So let's simply and quickly add the .NET CLI to our dev code space. Yeah. So I go here to the feature section, remove the commenting here, and you also see that I specified here a specific version. Yeah. So I could also do here .NET 5.0 or 6.0. Yeah. But to demonstrate here that you can also specify a specific version, I've chosen an older version here, which is 3.1. Yeah. So as this configuration lives within the repository as any other code, yeah, we are going to save our changes here. Commit our changes to the repository, to make it accessible for the whole mechanism, to pick that change up. We say here edit .NET CLI, syncing the changes, and we now have the possibility to rebuild that dev container to add that capability. And we can either do that by the command section here in Visual Studio Code, or also in the graphical interface by just going down here to the screen Codespaces area. See here, rebuild container, and then of course the container will stop. The system will now start to build a new container image, adding our chosen features. So we can also have a look here at the log. Here you see there is that the container is newly built up, and that was pretty quick. I think we are back. I hope that worked out. Super, it's a live demo. Or we did I do something wrong here? No, that looks good.
It looks good, actually.
Yeah, so let's stop the our current code space here and restart the code space.
I think while it's starting up again, maybe we can answer one question that was coming in. If Codespaces also will be available for open source development. And I assume this is the exact thing that you mentioned in the beginning. It will be also available, or it's currently available in beta for individual use, and it's already available for teams and enterprise use. So that is probably the current status. If you want to comment on this, Gerwald, if it's already available for open source development as well.
Yeah, so it's also available for the let's say unpaid accounts in GitHub, as I mentioned before. It's available in a officially in a beta with a beta title there. Because I I think it's still to be figured out how that turns out to be. Let's see how the commercial model could be. If there is like for example in the workflow space, a certain amount of minutes for free, or you know, if it's completely opened up, don't have insights into that. So I think there is still some work going on to figure out the model here. And I'm currently not really sure why we are getting error here.
I was thinking maybe the error is actually not in this line, but maybe a little bit more up, where you're using in line 22 the not the curly brackets, but I'm not 100% sure about.
No, I think that should be fine actually. So probably let's stop the whole thing here once again. Let's move out of the code space here, and let's go to our alternative editor here for a moment, just to give that the chance to settle down a bit. I think as these files may be super critical,
yeah, I think that the demo gods are not with us today.
Demo gods are currently not with us
so
here.
I did not recognize any change, so it should be the valid file. Maybe there's just some issue going on in the background where it cannot build the container currently. But I think like the idea is that we will get a new container, and now we have the .NET CLI also added. Maybe we can, I just suggest maybe we can come back to this at the end, and probably it just needs some time to rest for us to build a new container.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah. So what else can we show here? Yeah. So you also have an overview of all your available code spaces. Yeah. A code space also goes automatically into a suspended mode if you are not using that. Yeah. So to not sum up any charges, yeah, of an unused container. So that's a pretty cool environment. And you also see here that I have here a configuration of a 4-core machine for my project here. And if I would add additional code spaces, then I also get that's not what I wanted to do. You also get the possibility to choose from different configurations and really create your as you like to your hardware requirements. Good, but we need to find some way to get back here into our container. So probably
there might also be in the extension list that I was mentioning, maybe because there are missing some commas between the items in line 18, 19, 20.
No, you know, it worked before. Yeah, the only change we did was really the adding the .NET CLI here. Yeah, that was the only change we made. Yeah, so not sure why that really is. Yeah, but let's try to comment out that again. Because we should get back to our container, because I wanted to show you one other thing in the dev container, and let's give it one try again with the with our container. Otherwise, as you have seen, yeah, we simply can create a new code space, yeah, and start over there, yeah, which is, I think, also one of the I don't know what we did here. I don't know. No.
But I think do we need for the demo itself? Do we need the .NET CLI, or
no,
is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, it was just an example what you can do in terms of features. Yeah. Okay, so demo gods are not with us. Yeah, let's try to let's try to do a new code space here. Yeah, so you see we now have a completely new code space. Yeah, also probably a good demo. Yeah, if you try to for example, like, I don't know. So now I'm curious, but I think we can't do any live fixing here. So probably there's something going on with the platform in the backend. So let's revisit that as Jürgen proposed. So the thing I wanted to show you here is also the debugging functionality. Yeah? So even that environment is accessed remotely, either through a browser or through Visual Studio Code Remote. You get a full editing experience. Yeah? So you can run your application, and by running your application, you get a redirect port in your browser to access the application that either can be private or public. You have the full capabilities of debugging. Yeah, so you can set breakpoints. Yeah. You can navigate through your application. Yeah. Even that environment, yeah, is not running on your machine. As I said, that the mechanism for that is using port forwards and port redirects to give you access to that application, which is then executed in that virtual environment. Okay. Yeah, as the demo gods are not here with us, let's move on, and if we have time, we can definitely get back. We can get back. Okay, good. So with that, let's jump back to our slides. Let's see what else we have for you in the presentation. And the next one is GitHub Actions. So GitHub Actions is the workflow system in GitHub, and it's not only CI/CD, so it's not only continuous integration, continuous development. It's much more, because GitHub Actions can be triggered by a lot of integrated events from within GitHub. So that could be a new issue, a user contributing for the first time to a repository. Yeah. So there are far more events than a pull request and a commit. Yeah. When a workflow can be triggered and the workflow can be started. Of course, that's a super fit for CI/CD as well. I think will also be the main, still the main use case for it. But as mentioned, there is also a whole ecosystem around. We do have currently two types of let's say agents, or we call that runners in the system. So we are hosting runners on a Linux, Windows, and Macintosh base in the cloud environment, which are just ready to be consumed. Or there is also a concept of self-hosted runners, where you install an agent in an infrastructure of your choice, either on a virtual machine or in a Kubernetes cluster, or in a private or in an environment also behind the firewall. GitHub Actions is free for public repositories, so that's a huge contribution to the open source community, as we had that question already before. Public repositories can use the infrastructure for free, and even private repositories have a generous 3 minutes to be available to use GitHub Actions also in a private repository, and that again differs by the level of the GitHub account you have. It's 2,000 minutes for the free account and 50,000 minutes for the enterprise cloud account. Why I made that differentiation here is because not everybody is aware that there is also a server version of GitHub, which you can install on your own, within your data center, within your own company. So there is also a GitHub Enterprise server, and the GitHub Enterprise server then works with the self-hosted or private runners, and not with the cloud-based runners, where we provide the free minutes. The syntax of GitHub Actions is a YAML file. So the workflow is defined in YAML, and that YAML can also be extended by other actions, or by extensions. So you typically have the case, I think also when you build, for example, your CI pipeline, that you want to include some external tools, for example, for doing code scanning, or you have a linter, or you have other functionality there, and GitHub Actions has in that area a super open concept, because we these extensions, or these other actions are a reference to another Git repository. So you can see what the extension is doing. You can read that in clear text, and you can include that extension into your workflow, or fork it, modify it, make it more suitable for you. And the community building actions is really grown dramatically over the last year, I would say, and we now have over 12,000 actions in the marketplace. But Jürgen prepared some examples here. And Jürgen, do you want to start with the CI YAML?
Yes, we can just start with probably with this. That's a great example. And I just got the notification we only have 5 minutes left, 5 to 7 minutes left. So, but what I want to highlight here is that this is a real-world example from the open source project Captain. And here we actually made a couple of years back, I think 1.5 years back, we made the transition completely for the whole CI and for a lot of different other workflows to go full in on GitHub Actions. And for this one here, we can see in line 16, this action actually uses another GitHub repository. It uses an action that has been provided by someone from the community. It's called validate pull request, and in this sense, it's basically checking the name of the if the pull request kind of reflects a semantic pull request, in the sense that it has some prefixes. It will check if it's a fix, if it's a a new feature, if it's a CI/CD action that we want to change. So it checks on the level of a semantic pull request. Yeah, we can also see here like the validation, if it's a refactor, if it's a fix, if it's a new feature. And with this, it also helps us in the project that we can validate the pull requests that are coming in, which kind of pull request is it, so we can assign it to the right reviewers, for example. So this one is actually pretty small. We can configure it here in the type section. If you scroll down a bit, we can also see for which scopes it would actually be triggered, for the API, for our CLI, for the configuration service, for example. That's all part of our Captain repository. So it's really tied. We took this open source GitHub action, and now we really made it work for our repository. That's a really small one. But if we can just briefly, I don't know if you have it open, if we can jump to another one where we can see a full run of it, then you can see how large they can get.
Okay, yeah. So just before jumping over, just a quick comment on what that let's say type of hash back here is. Yeah. So security feature. Yeah. So you can also specify a certain commit ID or a certain hash, yeah, that you include exactly that version you reviewed, yeah, for example, into your own workflow, yeah, so that you are not just referencing blind to, you know, that external action overall, yeah, but to a specific version which you checked, yeah, for your purpose.
Exactly. Usually you would go with a release number. In this case, we just went with a specific hash in terms of when we actually checked this. And this one, I just want to highlight that here we have a GitHub action that is actually doing a lot of different things. And that's the really cool part for public repositories, and this open source project is public. Then we can do all the unit tests, we can build our Helm charts, we can build the CLI, we can build the Docker images, and everything is done whenever we merge a new pull request or we open up a new pull request. So whenever you want to, how you want to configure it. And this is done all in the background by GitHub, and we can just make use of all the artifacts that it's giving us afterwards. So it's not only for checking the pull requests, we also use it for doing the whole CI part, the whole building part. It's really a cool thing. Gerwald mentioned there are 12,000 actions already available. We also contributed already a couple of actions that are now used by other open source projects. So I think it's really cool. I think we don't have to go into more detail here because we still have a couple of slides. I'm not sure if we still have time to also mention them.
Yeah, I think we
there's quickly... a lot of great things, and I also see more questions coming up in the chat. I would actually suggest that we can take these questions then offline, because it might take us otherwise that we are running out of time real quick. And I think we have now 5 minutes sharp left.
Yeah, we have 5 minutes sharp left. Yeah, so probably give just a quick introduction. Yeah, sorry we lost some time with the DevContainer. Yeah. We also wanted to introduce you to GitHub Pages. GitHub Pages is a possibility to host a website either in Markdown or HTML for your project. You can also do customized domains for GitHub Pages. Also something we wanted to show. Need to skip that in terms of time. And a very special version of that GitHub Pages is your personal profile page. That's also, let's say, a little bit a hidden thing. Yeah. So if you create a repository with your username of GitHub and add a Markdown file to that repository, then that Markdown file is rendered into your profile page. And you can see that by looking, for example, at Jürgen's GitHub profile. he played there a little bit around with that functionality and created a very nice profile page. GitHub Gists. Jürgen, do you want quickly say something about that, or should we skip it?
I can just quickly say it because it's a very easy way to instantly share some code snippets, some notes, anything that are like where you don't want to set up a complete new repository, but where you just want to share a little bit of code, or where you want to save it. I was using it, for example, for a couple of different curl commands that I can never remember, and I just saved them as gists. And it's I think this one is really a hidden secret, but if you are familiar with it, it's a great feature. So give it a try.
Yeah, so I think like the lightweight editor. Yeah. So just to close it up, yeah, if we triggered your interest for the one or other functionality, we would invite you to have a look at GitHub Learning Labs. GitHub Learning Labs is the online learning platform of GitHub. Super cool functionality in there, because a bot is guiding you through exercises, yeah, and you're doing exercises, and the bot is judging on the how you did the exercise, yeah, and how you did do, yeah, with your hands-on stuff, and then gives you feedback and gives you new challenges. So super nice platform. That platform is also available in the education space. GitHub has a super cool program for universities, schools, Fachhochschulen, HTLs. Yeah. Have a look at the education program. There is a bunch of free stuff offered for the education space. Yeah. You just need to register as an educational organization, and then all your students with the same domain get access to that free benefits. And that bot, which is judging on exercising, that's also available for teachers in the form of GitHub Classroom. Yeah, so if you look into that.
Gerwald, I just got notified. We need to kind of stop it here, unfortunately. Thanks. Perfect. Thanks, everyone, for listening to our session and joining us here. Thanks, Gerwald, for really presenting everything here in so much detail, and also for all the insights and preparing everything. That's really cool. I will follow up for a couple of questions later on. I've put down some notes. Yeah,
I think are we doing that in the chat, or I'm not so quite sure how we do that, or we add it to the Git repository as well. Yeah, we will do it there, a Q&A file as mentioned here, and you can find the questions and the answers there as well. Yeah, we will do some kind of FAQ.
Cool, perfect, just in time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for listening, and yeah, hope we got your interest in the one or other GitHub feature. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.